Coming in hot, coming in fast. Saturday morning, 9:30. I have to tell you guys, I am caffeinated out the wazoo this morning. So many games, like 150 games. It's Saturday. NFL is over. College basketball is here. Bracket preview show. You see him there. Gus Kearns, Screen the Screener podcast at C Kearns 12. I've known the kid since 7th grade, since I handed him a fantasy baseball rotisserie book. Correct, Gus. Thank you.
Excellent. I loved researching Carney Lansford back in the day. Yeah. Let's get to these basketball picks. And I'm so pleased that we get to do this on the Bracket Reveal show afternoon. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very excited, guys. And I see the viewers jumping in. You guys set records. We had over 1,000 people watching a Thursday college basketball show, seeing me talk about God knows UMBC or whatever. So thank you. Hit the like, subscribe. We love you guys. We'll get the comments going here in a moment. We're going to do the picks first, and then we will do our bracket preview projections as well right after that. So we're ready to rock and roll. We got our comments here. Josh in the house. Dubs is what it's about. Ian, morning, everyone. Great to have you here. So let's get into it. We're going to fly. I start with my partner. I start with my best friend here. We're going to defer to you, sir. Let's start with the games that you brought. I'm not touching this one, but we'll start in the Ivy. Harvard at Columbia at 6 o'clock. Now, Columbia got us to the window last night, did a nice job, fast-paced game, up and down, got the over Gus by 1 point, 136, but we got it. Tell me what you like here with Harvard at Columbia.
It's very simple. The Ivy lineup is the Friday, Saturday lineup, and that's because they value the schools more, their academics more. Mm-hmm. Columbia had the easier game last night on Friday. They beat up on Dartmouth. Harvard had the tougher game going against Cornell. Columbia has the back-to-back home games here on the Friday, Saturday double, and they had to only deal with Dartmouth, who was 5-15, while Harvard had to travel to second-place Cornell. So this is back-to-back road games for Harvard as well. Harvard won the first meeting in Cambridge by 3, so we can go bounce back, revenge game, home dog. Fill in your preferred Mike Randle-ism here. Lions are going to get to the window. Dr. Tony will smile. It's a huge game inside the Ivy.
Yeah, I'm co-signing on this one. Great call. Great call here. Columbia versus Harvard. I don't know what the line is at right now. I got to see it, but I'm with you. I think Columbia is the better team. They're fast-paced. Harvard has stunk all year. As much as we love Tommy Amaker, just not his year. Your next game, this will be interesting. Wake UVA. I will give you the floor first. I think you know where I'm going. Go ahead. Right now, I think it is it may be 2.5. I got it at 3.5 last night. Virginia minus 3.5. Go ahead. You do yours first.
Right. It started at 3.5, got down to 2.5. There might be some other movement pre-tip, but the Hoos dropped an absolute clunker against Pitt at home that ruined their 8-game winning streak at home. Blake Hinson went nutty. And the question is, will Hunter Salas do the same thing? He's averaging 19 points, shooting 50% from the field, 77 from the line, 40 from 3. I don't think so. I like the line being a kind of coin flip situation, or at least in this case, a one possession situation. I like UVA at home after one home loss in this coin flip situation. So I'll take UVA. Yes, please.
I think you're not surprised where I'm going here. I just can't take it anymore. Yeah, I can't take the offense. Also, Gus, I think in this one, and so one of us will be right, thank God. I think Wake needs a win. If they want to make the tournament here, guys, they got to get a quad 1 win. They don't have any this year. This is a big game. I like the 3.5 more than the 2.5, but great call there. I appreciate it. Perfect. Moving on, we're going to be aligned on this one. Radford is at High Point tonight. Radford is at High Point. You do your thing. I'll pull it up.
Absolutely. So this goes back to your earlier in the week mantra of contender. Obviously, High Point is a contender. They just dropped an OT game at home to South Carolina Upstate. Suboptimal result for High Point. They need to keep pace with one of your faves, UNC Asheville, inside the Big South. Each are sitting at 10-2 currently. And after posting giant numbers, Keezy Giffa has slumped the last 3 games with shooting and with turnovers. I think there's a little bit of a market correction coming for Giffa and High Point. Lots of free throws for Gifford and their other star guard, Duke Miles. Lots of points, no problem. Give me the Panthers bouncing back with force at home. I saw it at -8.
Yeah, I got it -6.5 last night. Guys, I put these lines in at night, so they may have changed here. They are tied with UNC Asheville at 10-2 in the Big South. They cannot afford a loss here. High Point is really good. They've lost 2 of their last 3. They're home to Radford. Down screen, back screen. We're down 20, and we don't have an answer. Next game, moving on. I love it. It's 5.5 and it's fishy. How about them Dukies going down to Tallahassee to play Florida State? What do you got, Gus? I agree. Go ahead.
Florida State has that sneaky, fishy number of 5.5 that your audience is all too familiar with, and we've identified it here again. Florida State has put together a sneaky, okay, like kind of quad one-ish win situation. I think that this one might be a sleepy spot, if we're going to use one of your terms. Give me Florida State plus the magic number, 5.5, and I think everybody might be on Duke on this, but maybe not us.
Cosign as well. This next one, Arkansas, Mississippi State, classic pretender-contender game, in my opinion. Yeah. Listen, I jumped back on the Muss bus because, I want to believe, and he's a great coach as much as I got on him in Nevada. He does a great job. There's just a lot of stuff going on there, and I believe in Chris Jans, especially at home. It's a lot of points here, but I think I'm laying it. What say you here? Mississippi State, Arkansas.
I mean, it started at 11.5. It's bumped up, unfortunately, for us if we like Mississippi State. The only danger here is because Mississippi State is going to try to play at a certain pace and they value their possessions. Can they cover that larger number? Much like you explained with Wake Forest, Mississippi State kind of needs one of these wins and one of these opportunities. I think they get it at home tonight, even with the inflated number up to 12.5.
Yeah, listen, Mississippi State, guys, they beat Georgia at home. Love that. Beat Missouri away by 24. They are squarely on the bubble. They are 16-8. They are 5-6. Looking at their resume, Gus, 3-6 quad one, a perfect 3-0. Then they're 5-1 against quad three and 5-1 against quad four. The brutal loss that really hurt them. And I think it was earlier in the year, too, when they ended up having the injury there. That's going to be the game home to Southern. That's what the quad four loss is going to be. So they can't mess around here. I'm taking them minus the 12.5. Agree with you there. This one I don't have a feel, but I love it. I love that you got this one on the pod here. Bowling Green at Eastern Michigan. We have Bowling Green minus about 6, and it increased. What do you got there? Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan.
It started around 4.5-ish, 5-ish. Now it's up to 6. Look, this is just like a player observation. Marcus Hill is on a legit heater, 23.8 points per game over his last 12. He will blanket defensively Eastern Michigan's really talented guard, Acuff. Give me the Green Eagles? And maybe what is a Green Eagle? But I really like Bowling Green on the road here, and it avoids our magic number of 5.5. It's right at 6, so it's right in our wheelhouse. Really like this game, and really like Bowling Green on the road to get the win. They are in play in their conference. They don't want to drop. They don't want to drop a game they're not supposed to.
All right, and now last game here for Gus, and then we'll roll into my litany of I have issues and gambling problem picks. We're going to go here, Gus. Talk to me about Alabama, Texas A&M. I have 2 feels on this. You talk about the side to start. Go ahead.
Right. I think the under here is a great play. I think initially you're going to look at Alabama and you're going to say, oh, yeah, they put up points. They put up 90. They put up 100. Maybe the Texas A&M guards also play into that faster pace. I love the under here. I think that they're really going to get locked in. I think Buzz is going to try to slow the game down a bit. And I love that underplay. But I'll tell you what, I also love Alabama in this game. Mm-hmm. We've seen this game before with Liberty. They came in, that line was really tight, and that turned into a 40-point win. Texas A&M makes no sense this season either because of their up and down results. I think Alabama, winners of their 11 of their last 13. I like Alabama big here by double digits, but I also like the under, like you mentioned.
Buzz is getting frisky here. Texas A&M, he's always angry when they don't get in the tournament. They don't get a good seed.
On the floor.
On the floor. I get it. They are 43 in the net. They have a good strength of schedule, 26. They're 5-4 against quad one. That's great. Here's the problem. 3-2 against quad two, 2-3 against quad three. That's the problem. They're in. They're certainly in, but I am concerned about them and where their seed is going to be. They are going to play hard here. Fast pace, slow pace. I usually take the slow pace team, especially late in the year. I just don't think that Wade Taylor can have the 65 points that he has to have for this team because they just struggle offensively. So to me, this game is close. It is back and forth. It's low scoring. We're mucking it up. Then a couple threes. Alabama pulls away. They got a foul. They win by 11. but I do like the under here a lot more. Perfect, my friend. Here we go. Let's roll. I got a couple games. We're going to fly through it. People, put the comments in. We love it. I see the numbers flying off the chart. We're going to set another record, and we will get you to our bracket preview show as well at the end. Make sure we get to that. Wisconsin, if you are the team that I think you are, and you are the team that I believe this year, slow, down screen, not sexy, can make an Elite Eight run, you got to get this game against Fran McCaffrey. You got to get it. It's on the road. It's 1 point. You're the better team. You got Store. I don't want to hear about Peyton Sanford. I don't want to hear about that garbage. Wisconsin, if you are the team that I think you are, I don't care that you lost 4 in a row because one was Purdue, then it was the Rack with 85 Celtics can't win. Fine. You're getting this game. Gus, I'm taking Wisconsin -1 even on the road at Fran McCaffrey.
Totally with you. You know what we're blinded by? We're blinded by their four-game skid.
Yes.
3 road games and a game against Purdue, the number 2 team in the country. Yeah, and that's going to happen to anybody in the country. Don't get blinded by that.
Danny Hurley loses 6-8 last year, makes the speech we're coming. All of a sudden, between the legs, 3-pointers. You and I watched it out here in Westwood. They win going away, and they cover, by the way, Gus. Okay, thank you very much. And Auburn, of course, I go back to it over and over again. Viewers are tired of me talking about it. The year they made the Final Four, and why are you fouling Kyle Guy on a 3-pointer? They would have been in the championship game against Texas Tech, and they may have won the whole thing. They had a huge losing streak as well. I don't care about the losing streak. I believe in Wisconsin. Remind me of that when they're out in the first round. Okay, moving on. Coastal Carolina, Gus, has done very well for me. When they're home with Cliff Ellis, they do very well. Marshall has not impressed me. Dan D'Antonio, good job. Just doesn't seem to have the same talent they normally has. Coastal at home is very live. They're a very tough underdog, and you're giving me 4.5. I think this could be a money line play. I'll take Coastal plus 4.5.
Chanticleers, yeah, absolutely.
Next one. We always talk about this, the most reliable unit in the game. The most reliable unit in this game to me is the Kansas State defense. Kansas State has lost 5 of 6. They are 5-6 in the Big 12. This is their season. They've got to have this game. TCU is very good. Jamie Dixon, they play at a fast pace. They're very dangerous in the tournament. So I'm not going with a side here. I'm going with the under. They need this game. You look at the metrics here for Jerome Tang. Number 1 in the Big 12 in effective field goal percentage defense. Number 1 in 3-point percentage allowed. Number 1 in 2-point percentage allowed. Enough. And they turn the ball over a ton. I'm going to take the under of 143. I don't know what you got to side on this one, but I'm going with the under because this is the last stand in the octagon of doom.
The only thing I would stay away from here is TCU is fantastic in transition.
Yeah.
If they go ahead and get that rolling a little bit, then your under pick may be in danger. So if you're looking for an excuse or a reason not to bet the under here, it's because TCU may get out in transition and get a couple of easy buckets, ruining that under 143.
Never say that I'm not objective. Don't say that. You know I hate Creighton. I don't care if their number Google in defending the 3-pointer. I don't like this team. They are pillow soft. However, is Butler going to sweep Creighton? And I saw this last time. Creighton ends up playing a couple games ago. Creighton played Xavier, away. And I just said before that game, I'm staying away because it feels like this is a game Creighton's going to get. Creighton is king of the little people. I know Butler needs this game, and their strength of schedule is tremendous. They do have a resume here to get in the tournament. They just beat Creighton 99-98 back on February 2nd. I don't think Butler is sweeping Creighton. I think this is a Creighton game for me, and I hate saying it, but I'm going with Creighton on the road. I'm ducking.
I think the number is just small enough where you can play around with Creighton here. And Butler has put together an unbelievable resume thus far with 7 quad 1 and quad 2 wins. Mm-hmm. So they're very capable here, but I agree it's hard to beat that team twice.
I don't know. I have issues because I've always enjoyed the Citadel VMI game because it's like Loyola Marymount Bouk with God rest his soul, Hank Gathers and Bull Kimball. Look at the scores of these games historically, rivalry game, the whole thing. Gus, yes, we're going over on VMI Citadel 149. They're always fast-paced and they're always high-scoring, and neither team can play any defense.
I knew you would have this game on the board, and I'm just giggling because I knew that you would maybe pick the over, and you nailed it right there. Listeners, that might be one you just dial in right away.
Gus, when I sent this to you initially last night, I changed it because I took a look at it.
Yeah.
Wright State's playing 0 defense. They're not allowing anyone here they're like Olay bullfighters. So here's my argument. They have played Robert Morris already and beat them 101-76. So you have the bounce back spot,
Right.
the revenge spot.
Right.
The points they allowed 85 points at home to Detroit Mercy, Gus. So I'm not really ready to lay double digits with a team that allowed 85. Although Detroit Mercy covered 5.5 last week, which is great. So I'm going over because Wright State can score. They can shoot the lights out, 37% three-point range, great from the free throw line. Gus, I'm going over, but I am taking Robert Morris in the 9.5 because Wright State hasn't blown anyone out here. I don't see it happening, and they're coming off a 14-point loss at Oakland, who's great, but still.
Right. All right, Greg Campy is obviously going to do his thing for Oakland there. And if I were picking one of these, I would just lean with the over. I would stay away because Wright State, the volatility is just too high, especially you mentioned the defensive numbers and the defensive trends on their end. I would stay away from maybe picking a side here, but I'm going to definitely lean with the over. I love that you identified Wright State both offensively and defensively, that they're susceptible to higher scores, and we'll put up triple digits if they get the chance.
You haven't lived until you really get excited that you've handicapped UMBC right for most of the year, okay? and I have watched Jim Ferry's club. I mean, Gus, I was there when they were 5-5, and I'm here when they're 8-18, okay? They are very good on the road, and they struggle at home. We nailed them against Binghamton, 89 points. That means they've turned a corner. No, it does not. Albany coming in, Albany with Dwayne Killings, third year here, experience. It's an odd line because you just saw UMBC win on the road. UMBC, I am following the pattern that cashed us with the game against Binghamton. They're not great at home. I'll take Albany -1.
Absolutely. Once you've identified the trend and identified the pattern, stick with it until proven wrong. Absolutely. They're at home. That number seems small, so you might want to take the home team. Go the other way.
I'll translate that for Gus. You're nuts for betting this game, but I'm not going to say that publicly on the YouTube channel. Okay. Don't tell me I'm not objective. Gus, I like Florida. I do. I just think it's time for some regression with them. This is a desperation spot for Georgia at home. Listen, Florida up and down. Teams are only shooting 67% against the free throw line against them. You know Georgia can get hot. They need this game. Florida beat Georgia in overtime. Remember, they were destroying Georgia. I know because I had 6.5 and they lost, but they won by 4. Game goes to overtime. 102-98. Georgia has lost 5 straight games. I am going to slam a bat off the wall if I get burned backing Mike White. I just think this is a spot where Georgia comes out. It's a coin flip game. I'm not laying points with Georgia that easily yet. Are you? I'm in Florida. With Florida on the road. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying this is why the listeners tune in. This is why the viewers tune in, because you have been Mr. Anti-Mike White, and here you are back switching sides because you think it values and provides value for the listeners and the viewers. This is why people tune in.
I may need RJ Melendez to go for 6 of 10 from three-point range and 35 points again. He may need 45 tonight. I can't lay 4 points with Florida here. I can't. Todd Golden, I know your deal. You have no idea what it's like playing Houston and Houston until you go there. You don't. I don't like Texas. I don't like Rodney Terry. This game was close and went to overtime initially back at Texas. It should not have been. This game is 15-5 timeout Rodney Terry. I know Dessou. I know A-Smith. I get that. Lindsey Hunter's been a notch below. You don't know what you're facing with Houston when this defense comes in. I would not be shocked to see Texas not get to double digits in the first half. I just think Houston is legit. Big 12, they are tied with Iowa State here at 8-3. They have Iowa State coming up. You want to say look ahead spot? I guess I can get there. Yeah. I am taking Houston minus the 10.5. They're not sleeping here, Gus. They're coming after Texas, and they're not going to overlook a team that took them to overtime the first time. It's not like they went there and they won by 15 points. It's a very close game, 15-5, timeout Rodney Terry.
Sometimes you have to look at the personnel matchups, and you know that Jamal Shed is looking at this Max A-Smith matchup and saying, I'm going to shut this guy down. Mm-hmm. Shed doesn't even care if he gets the double digits himself. He said, I'm not going to let him win that game. I'm not going to let him go off. And to be honest, the only way that happens, that Texas can get to the window here, is if it's a close game and Max A-Smith has a last-second shot opportunity. But Shed won't even allow him or Texas to get to that point. Love this pick. I bet this runs away in the second half, and it gets comfortable.
Yeah, listen, if you like Texas, guys, you might as well take Dessou's prop. I don't know what Mike Kutri's got in our Discord here, but take the because Dessou's got to have a huge game. Mercer stinks. That's all I got to say. I've seen Stanford all year. Mercer stinks. They stink. Fine. You want to cover against Samford? That's fine. Samford is not stumbling here. Love this team. Love the pace they play with. They're 23-3 here in the SoCon. They got the nation's 9th longest winning streak. They have a 2-game lead over Chattanooga, so they can't mess around. They got 5 games left. They got Furman at home. You want to say look ahead? I don't care. They won at home 87-80. Now they're going at Mercer. I don't care. I think Samford's a better team. It's one of the few times, Gus, I just think they're going to sweep. Could be wrong. I think they're going to sweep.
No, I think you can confidently say that, especially after watching them against the performance of Western Carolina. They absolutely shut them down in the second half and ran away from them after being down in the first half. Love this pick. Love this team.
Stony Brook on the road, no thank you. Monmouth at home. Monmouth is good. Xander Rice, this is a huge battle here for Monmouth. I like this team a lot. They survive with the miracle shot by Xander Rice, which is fantastic, but they also have motivation because they lost at Stony Brook 72-65. This is a bounce back spot for them. 7-6, 14-12, going to be super dangerous here in the CAA tournament.
I think the only thing you want to be aware of is, do they have that big shot hangover? Yeah. With that last second one, do they come out a little flat? That's the one thing I would guard against here. I would just stay away from this game because of that big shot previous game for Monmouth.
Fair. Let's get to the comments here. We love our listeners, loyal as hell. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Sanderson, we love you, buddy. In the house, we appreciate it. Sanderson's on the Badgers today. Perky, they don't have the chops to beat Wisconsin at home. That's what I'm going with. Josh, picks are in the beginning. Those are the ones that we like the best. I will get back to those at the end, though. Dream in the house. Folks, if you don't know MLB Dream, the guy just prints money with baseball picks for us here. We love MLB Dream. Let's see. We got Leg Show back in the house. Duke allergic to the state of Florida. They never do well there. Leg Show, great to have you back, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that is correct. Auto fading Detroit and Army. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm fading Army. That's for sure. We can get into that a little bit. Benny in the hat. Benny's just the man. Benny Hoboken. Go get a Vito Sweet today, Benny. Will you please? Florida 68% from the free throw line. I agree, Kyle. I don't like teams covering on the road as favorites that aren't great from the free throw line. Walter Clayton's been good, and I'll tell you, Patino really could use him at St. John's because they don't have shooting. But there you go. Very, very himself. Appreciate it. Mike, please don't take Marquette. I am, Ian. I am. We'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, I'll get back to that. Sorry. Gus, I'm not Hubert, but they're home. I've watched Virginia Tech. They're really not impressive to me. This is a tough spot on the road. I think North Carolina has a huge advantage on the interior here. I just expect them to get this game. It's a spot for me. North Carolina has been struggling. Clemson, who I really like, I think they're better than Virginia Tech, and I think they're substantially better.
This is another game where you want to pay attention to, is North Carolina serious about trying to be in the conversation for this number 1 seed? If they are, then they need to nail these games, and they haven't in the recent past. So, yeah, I agree with your fishiness here and maybe the uncertainty of Carolina really running away from them.
Yeah, I've struggled early in the year with Colgate, but I've gotten back on them. We like Matt Langle. We like great programs. We like teams that get going here and they're consistent. This is like the Vermont of the Patriot League, who you can rely on. They are getting hot now. They beat Navy by 24. They beat BU away by 10. They beat Loyola Maryland by 14. They took Holy Cross to the woodshed, beat them by 30. They're not stumbling against Bucknell. Yes, they have the Patriot League under wraps, 3-game lead over Lafayette with 5 to play. I just trust them at home. I trust them at home, and they're shooting well, so I'm taking Colgate laying the points here.
Keegan Records playing like the best big man in the conference, and then Smith, the guard on the outside, is providing space for that. Love this pick, and this could be a 20-point win.
I have no logic for this pick except it makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. Why is Longwood only favored by 1 or 2 points at Presbyterian?
Right.
I like the Blue Hose rivalry game. Longwood not at the level that they normally are. They've been disappointing a little bit this year. Normally they're the cream of the crop there. They've lost 7 of the last 9. They did beat Winthrop at home, but look at their games on the road. They lost at Charleston Southern by 6. What are we doing? High Point blasted. They lost at USC Upstate by 2. Asheville, close game, they lost. Winthrop, enough. I'm taking Presbyterian here. They beat Presbyterian at home 80-70. I don't think they're going to win on the road. I think the line is odd, so I took it. Gus,
I think it's I think it's a really interesting line as well, and I think I love that when you find value in the oddities that appear and don't follow the necessarily protocol for home team, road team. I love when you find these little nuggets.
I love BYU. They're great.
Yeah.
Pope is great. It's just a lot of points. It's just a lot. Like Oak State at home. It's an awful lot of points here. They've done well on the road, BYU, and they've played great. But at Oklahoma, lose by 16. At West Virginia, good win. At Texas Tech by 7. UCF by 5. That is a lot of points to cover, even against Oklahoma State, who is 2-9 here in the Big 12. But they did beat Kansas State at home. They did beat West Virginia at home. I just think Baylor overtime, a lot of points for me with BYU. That's all.
This might fall into the category of banquet. Every team needs a win they need to talk about at the end of the year banquet. This might be that game for Oklahoma State.
Just seems like a lot of points. I'm not laying 3 points.
There it is.
That could say Army. That could say Caldwell High School. You know what I mean? I'm not laying 3 points with Army on the road. I know it's Holy Cross coming off the big one. We talked about that.
Right.
I'm not great with Duquesne games. You tell me if this is nuts. I have seen St. Joe's. They're great. They shoot threes. They get up in the gap. I don't like that they fouled in their last game.
Right.
Big game against Loyola Chicago with 0.1 seconds left, so that therefore I didn't get to cover. So I'm a little salty about that. But I will take St. Joe's plus 3.5 at Duquesne. I never get them right, but St. Joe's can shoot the three. They're great on defense with those guards, with the strips. They've played well on the road. They beat UMass away on the road here.
Right.
Duquesne is a Rubik's Cube to me, but I'm taking St. Joe's plus 3.5.
I think that St. Joe's kind of falls into your UMBC category, where they might be playing a little bit better on the road, maybe getting out of the comforts of home really benefits them. And we saw that when they went down to Kentucky and gave them a game right until the final minute.
This game falls into the odd cat. This
Right.
opened, I think, at 4.5.
Right. I was keeping my eye on
dropped
this.
last night to 2. I thought the whole team had COVID. And then now it's back up to 4 this morning here. Was this one of the cases where the Sharps bet it down? I don't know. It's just John Becker, 10-1 here in the America East. They got a 1-game lead over Bryant. They play Albany next away, then Bryant. So don't tell me about the look ahead. I think they're getting this game. They did beat Maine at home by 7. Maine slows it down, and it's tough. I got it at 2, guys. I'm sorry if it's a 3 or 4 right now.
Right.
I am backing John Becker. That's what
Right.
this is. He is not losing this game and potentially losing the America East. I know they had Frisky at NJIT. I know they were close with UMBC, but they looked pretty damn good in the second half against New Hampshire. Maybe they got out their spot here. I don't think they're losing at Maine.
No, unless Cooper Flagg is going to suit up for Maine and the Black Bears. That's not going to happen. And
Very good.
Vermont, Vermont's playing well. If you go back and look at their leading scorers, they had a stretch where they had 7 different players lead the team in scoring. That is Vermont basketball, where they don't get good shots. They pass for the best shot. And it doesn't matter who on the team is going to take that best shot, but they play for the best shot. I think they'll continue that trend here.
Guys, FIU stinks. I know that Louisiana Tech beat them by 40 away. So now you're going to tell me that FIU in a revenge spot, even though you have Louisiana Tech, who is tied with Sam Houston State, a top conference USA here. So they're going to be in a sleepy spot against Sam Houston State because they have UTEP away on the road. The Sam Houston game is coming up on March 7th. FIU stinks. Louisiana Tech at home. They lost 2 in a row to Western Kentucky and Liberty. Tough games. No shame there. Bounce back against Jacksonville State. I think they roll today, Gus. I'm not afraid of FIU.
Listen, this is another reason why your listeners and viewers tune in, is because you have keyed in and found winning patterns in odd spots. And Conference USA with Louisiana Tech and FIU are totally odd spots for bettors.
I have no idea winning this game. I just know there's no defense being played.
Correct.
Cleveland State is very different. They can't make their free throws. They're very herky-jerky. I saw them against, I think it was IUPUI. They played somebody where it was very up and down. All of a sudden, they gave the lead back. Youngstown State can score on anyone. They don't play a lot of defense. Can we get 76, 74? I think we can.
I think we can with the Penguins, no doubt. And Youngstown State is playing really well offensively. I agree with the suspect defensively.
This game, I think, is a very – when you have a game between two teams that are really good, and Marquette and UConn are really good, yep. I think the under is in play. I know that Marquette is going to struggle because they're not as deep because they had some injuries this year. Right. Tyler Kolek controls the game. He controls the pace. I think this is an underplay, and I'm going to marry it with the 6.5. I apologize to our listener who said don't pick Marquette. I like Mark. I think it's really close. UConn is awesome. UConn can go back-to-back. They look as good as those Florida teams with, was it Joachim Noah? Whoever was on those Florida teams that went back-to-back. They are, Yeah, Horford. I'm sorry. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. But Marquette is really good, and they're scalding hot. I don't think UConn blows them out today. I know it's a revenge spot. I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the underdog.
This might be a player of the year in the conference,
Good call.
like
Yes,
showdown with the 2-point guards. So I think that's something to pay attention to too. And listen, your listeners and viewers are smart enough to know that this is like one of the biggest games of the season. So because of that, like urgency, yeah, the under is 100% in play. And this looks like a 58-57 game with 3 minutes to go. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
Colby, I appreciate it. It's now 6.5. Yeah, Colby, it's nuts.
Good catch, Colby.
What did they think somebody was out? It was down to 2. I'm sorry. Do not tell me I give stale lines on the show, guys. It was 2 when I put it last night. Now it's at 6.5. I'm taking them. Let's see. Here we go. Ian says if Marquette didn't have that comeback, it'd be an 8 or 9 point game. Ian, I get it. UConn is absolutely wonderful. I believe in shotgun these spots. I do like the under more than I like the side. That I will say. Right. All right, Gus, I'll give you 3 in a row here because we got to fly through. I want to make sure we get to our bracket preview. So I'll give you 3 picks quickly, and then you do what you want to do. NJIT at home has played really well. They played well against UMass Lowell. They played well against Vermont. Binghamton on the road, no thank you. I'll take the 2.5 points there. US, our guy Aaron Gano from Tenafly is out there in Hawaii. But what I like about this spot is they're playing UC Santa Barbara. They lost at home to UC Santa Barbara. Now they're going away. I think UC Santa Barbara is the better team. And East Tennessee State can't score, Gus. As much as Western Carolina is not a great 3-point shooting team, right, I think they get to the window here. Talk to me about these 3 games. What do you think?
I'll just go backwards. Western Carolina has one of the best players in the country. Love that. NJIT, and you and I texted about this. I'm so glad that you found value in NJIT because they beat both UMass Lowell and Vermont at home. So if you're going to give me like a really small number at home with NJIT, we'll definitely grab it because they are a very valuable team at home. And what was the third game again? I'll take AJ Mitchell and a point. Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah, the other thing, guys, at Western Carolina, they're coming off a beatdown from Samford, so it's motivation here. It's going to have to be a sweep of East Tennessee State, but East Tennessee State simply can't score. Let's do a threesome here. Sleepy spot for Pittsburgh. I don't like Louisville, but remember, they keep it close at Syracuse. They sometimes can keep the games close. They came back against BC. I think we're laying 12.5 points at Pittsburgh. Get a little much for my liking, Gus. This could be an 8-point win, 6-point win, settle down. This line makes no sense. It could be Bryant looking ahead to Vermont. UMass Lowell has not been great this year, but your instinct when you see this game is Bryant laying the points. I don't like that. I think UMass Lowell actually keeps this game close and maybe steals it from Bryant, who's looking ahead to Vermont. And I mean, do I need to talk about that? I mean, I know Miami's been terrible. I get it, but I just think they have more talent than Boston College. So I'm taking them there. Louisville plus 12.5, UMass Lowell plus 1.5, Miami plus 1.5. Got any thoughts on those?
Sure. I think the number with Pitt might be a little bit inflated. You are very keyed into the America East as always. And then I think the last pick is when you have your alma mater involved, I think you should just go with your heart there, and you're going with your head and heart with Miami. I agree.
I can tell you, I don't think Larinaga likes his team very much. I think he's been frustrated, but I just think 1.5 is not enough. It's not enough here for me to. It's not low enough. I mean, Miami -2, maybe I do it, but that's about it. 3 more, Gus. I'm really impressed with Louisiana. Really impressed with what they've done. Marlin is a great coach. They're usually the class of this conference. App State is wonderful. They're great. They finally got going against Marshall in the second half, but they've played some close games at home. 7 feels like a lot, especially with the point guard with Louisiana. I like them. I have an addiction to UNC Asheville. I think they bounce back. I love this Asheville team. They threw me off the scent earlier in the year because they ended up with the loss to Wilmington, but then we know how good Wilmington is here. They are 10-2 in the Big South. They are tied with High Point. They cannot mess up here. They have Longwood, Gardner Webb, and Radford. I think they do not stumble against Charleston Southern. They beat them by 6 away. I think they beat them by 20 today. And I'm going with the over because who plays defense in this matchup? So Gus, Louisiana plus 7, UNC Ash -12.5 to keep it rolling. And then of course the over. What do you got?
I would love if Louisiana won that game simply because I'm a JMU fan and alum. So that would be great to take App State down. I love the over pick for Syracuse because Judah Mintz is definitely on a heater. So I love that pick as well. And then if you are really cued in to UNC Asheville. I like Asheville because of Pember. I think he's a really unique talent, and he's been playing really well. UNC Asheville has corrected any sort of miscues that they've had early in the season. They're playing really well in conference now.
Yeah, 39% from 3-point range in conference. And Charleston Southern, just catastrophic on offense here. They run away and hide. Okay, a couple more guys. I see the comments flying in. Yeah, Maryland beats bad teams. They lose to good teams. I think Illinois is a really good team. I think Terrence Shannon's he got the off the court issues, whatever's going on, but his scoring, he's very tough to stop one-on-one. Underwood has done a great coaching job. Obviously Lamont Paris, those type of guys are going to be coach of the year candidates. Right. Brad Underwood did a great coaching job with all the stuff he's had to deal with. Yes, I just like because he answered my question in the press conference at the Jimmy V Classic. Yes, Gus, but I think Illinois gets this one. Liberty on the road. It's just not a vintage Liberty team, and Sam Houston State cannot afford to lose here. If this game was a pick, I would stay away. But you can give me 4 points with Sam Houston State, with the way they create turnovers, get up and down the floor, get in transition. I just think it's a tad too much. If it drops to 2.5 or 2, I'd probably stay away. And Gus, I've seen enough of West Virginia at home. I love Baylor. I get it, but West Virginia at home has played well against everyone. Those are my 3 games. Illinois minus 2.5, Sam Houston State getting 4 against the Flames, and West Virginia at home against Baylor. Talk to me.
The only one I would push back against there is Baylor at West Virginia.
Okay.
Maybe Baylor guards get on a little bit of
That's
a hot
fair.
streak from 3, and then that game gets away from them and gets a little bit ugly. But I think that's the only part I would pay attention to out of that threesome of games.
Yeah, it's fair. I get it. I don't like West Virginia. I think he's coming back to earth right now. They did beat Cincinnati at home. They beat Kansas home. They beat Texas at home.
Right.
I get it. It's not a huge game, but I'll stick with the 6.5 just because I've seen the trend there. Oh God! I mean, what's going to happen in this game? I mean, is Auburn going to score 120 points? Listen, my thoughts on Cal. He's not. This is nuts. I don't know how they keep this game close because Gus, to keep it close against Auburn, you've got to rebound. You've got to play defense. You've got to hit the boards. They don't do that. They haven't done that all year. So is Rob Dillingham all of a sudden going to do that? I just don't like this spot. We got Calipari beats Pearl, beats Barnes, whatever the whole circle. Gus, Middle Tennessee State's very good at home, and they finally have got it going here. They had a nice comeback win for me the other night. Very tough at home. UTEP is very up and down. Not a huge fan, but at Murfreesboro at 6:00 on a Saturday night is a very tough place to play.
Sure.
Gus, I am staying away from. I put it up here, but guys, this is probably I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. I took Oklahoma plus 1.5 because they're still in the tournament. They need this win. Right. But how many times Self going to lose in a row? So this one is a half unit play for me. It's not one of my top plays. Go ahead, Gus. Auburn against Kentucky, Murfreesboro at home, and then this one. What do you got?
Number 1, I would take a look at the over for Kentucky Auburn. Maybe they just both score 90. That's a total possibility there. And Calipari's player rotation seems to be a muck and a mess right now. So I don't know if he's going to straighten that out today. And then if you go to the Kansas and Oklahoma game, I would lean Oklahoma there too. And that has to be totally injury reliant. Is McCullough going to play? Are they going to have to play? Are they going to have to play their bench big minutes? If they do, I know Frumpy's done a good job. Okay, he's been the 5th starter, so on and so on. But if they have to go deep into their bench, they're going to be exposed, and that's been evident the past 3 games.
Yeah, Johnny Furphy on the road, different than Johnny Furphy at home. Other argument here for Middle Tennessee State, just to point out, Nick McDevitt really struggled this year. They were 6-13 and 0-4. Since then, Jacksonville State home win. FIU enough home win. Away at Western Kentucky lost. Away at Liberty, always tough loss. FIU swept them, came back away, won by 2. New Mexico State was the game they were down big. They came all the way back. They were playing better. They've won 4 of their last 6. Tough. Murfreesboro on the road. On the other side, UTEP, we win one, we lose one, we win one, we lose one, and they're 67% from the free throw line. Not buying it there. A couple more, buddy, and then we'll get going.
Yeah.
Indiana State can't lose this game, can they? I love Xavier Johnson. I just don't think they can lose this game. If they're done with the at-large, because you know the way the committee punishes teams that don't win here. They're done with the at-large. They are out, so I'm taking them there. We talked about High Point. I mean, it's DePaul. That's all I got to say there. Anything on Indiana State?
No, I think Indiana State felt the pressure of that number next to your name the first time around, much like every team does. And DePaul is just, oh, goodness gracious. And Devin Carter's playing like one of the best guards in the country. And Arudo from George Mason is absolutely balling out in the post for them. So I really like
Doro. It was really big against St. John's. If you can't bet on the Jack Clark revenge game, what can you bet on? Gus, I'm warming to Clemson. I think they're really good. I think that the team is going to be in the Elite 8, and they're going to say, how the hell did they get in here? They are solid. They were great from 3-point range, and they were terrible. Now they're getting good again. Shiflin is so underrated, does all the dirty work. I have a blind spot with Milwaukee. I know you're going to tell me Milwaukee, and you've been right every single time. I just have a blind spot with them. I'm taking Northern Kentucky +2.
If DJ Freeman plays there, then maybe take a second look at that game. That's all.
And finally, Mississippi -12.5. It's a lot of points. But Mississippi at home is good, and their defense should lock down Missouri. I'm taking those points there. Comments still coming in. Got to get to them.
Yes, sir.
Richard, no NBA. Got to get this right today. Richard, I'm trying, my friend. I am trying here. Perky likes a BU against Army. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Navy. Is it Navy? Sorry. Perky's had a little too much caffeine this morning. Creighton money line, Jared, I'm fine with as well.
Yeah.
The Iowa State game, it's, Ian, it's a lot of points. It's 7.5. It's Texas Tech. I do like Iowa State. Not really sure on that one. That's why I stayed away. But yes, of course, we like the money line as well. Gus, want to get to your stuff here again. Record view, guys. Hit the like, subscribe. The viewers are off the charts. Highest we've ever had. Thank you. Gus, talk to me about your bracket preview here. We got a couple minutes left. I will put it up. What do you think is going to happen, my friend?
All right. So the first thing we want to pay attention to is the first 3 teams. Those seem to be locked in. The last question mark is who's going to get that last 1 seed. I think Marquette gets it. They don't have any quad 3 losses. I would like to have all my number 1 seeds not have any quad 3 losses or warts. Arizona, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Iowa State need to be on that 2 line. I don't think there's much argument there unless you want to include Wisconsin in that conversation. But the recent 4-game skid brings them down to the 3 line. And I think the 4 line is where it gets fun. Alabama's there. Dayton is there, thankfully. Your beloved Creighton. And I think we need to include South Carolina in the conversation. Even with the recent blowout, I feel like they have done enough to get that last 4 spot. Mike, any thoughts or any retorts?
I love this, man. I think Arizona gets the 1 seed, as you'll see in a minute.
Right.
Marquette gets the win today. They'll have the 1 seed, but the bracket will be up before that game is over. I love Iowa State. I think they're fantastic. I have a future on them, and I may hit them again as well.
Right.
Dayton is as locked into the 4 as any team. It's possible. They're a dominant thing. Deron Holmes has been fantastic playing at a first-team All-American level. We saw him last year against Fordham. The guy is legit. They're playing really well. Shout out to Anthony Grant's done an amazing job. I have no arguments across the board. Here is mine. Okay. I did the regions because I have no life. I got Purdue 1 at Detroit. I got UConn. I put Houston in the South. I put Arizona in the West. That could change, but I think when it comes out today, I'll lose a pinky if those 4 teams are not placed where they are right there. Now, coming back the other way, I looked at the resumes, Gus. I think Iowa State is the best 2 seed that exists there across the board with their resume. I put them in Detroit. Bama goes to the East. Marquette is the second best team. I put them in the South in Dallas. UNC is 8th. They're great as well, but I kept them on the 2 line. The only thing I'm unsure about here, you see in the East there, Alabama, Tennessee. I believe the rule is they can't meet in the same conference until the Elite 8, which is why I put them there. But they may ship Tennessee to a different region to avoid that. Kansas, of course, with the skid, but they're still going to be in there. And like I said, Dayton's locked in. I put Creighton in the Midwest. Looking across the board, Duke here, 5 quad 1 wins. That's really solid. Illinois, Brad Underwood, cheers to you. You've done a great job. Don't know who I'm missing here, but I think this is good. At first look, if you ask me the toughest region, in my mind, Gus, it's the East, because I think Tennessee is a problem. So UConn, if it was UConn, Alabama, Tennessee, and Duke, that is rough, my friend.
I would go again. I would say that your Midwest looks pretty stout. I know that you're going to argue against Creighton, but with their 3-point shooting and their lack of turnovers, they can beat anybody any night.
Oh, 100% agree. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let's get back here, folks. A couple more comments, and then we will get out of here. We had Bobby with a big question here. Any opinion on Cincinnati versus UCF? Basically a pick 'em. I agree. It's a revenge spot, and it's UCF at home. And I don't know, Gus, if Cincinnati has the chops to win on the road. That's my issue there with Cincinnati and UCF. Got a pick on that one?
Love Bandango, what he's doing defensively. He might be the difference. And if Jizzle James cannot play like a freshman on the road, then I think I like Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati here.
Yeah, Daryl is going to load us up here. Daryl, we love you, brother. Here we go. Let's see. Troy, it's a lot of points in Louisiana. Monroe has played very well lately, Daryl. That's why I stayed away. I know Scott Cross covers. That's my guy. But it's a high number. They're coming off a loss. It's just Louisiana Monroe has played really well, and now Troy is playing from behind here to App State in the conference, even though they don't play James Madison, which was a huge advantage. Right. Thoughts there, Gus?
I think that James Madison, with that big number at home,
Yep.
Here's one of the things to pay attention to with any team, not just James Madison. When they go ahead and put their bench players in, they're still going to play hard and they're really talented. So that's like another thing to pay attention to, kind of the opposite effect of Kansas.
Yeah, the Boise State one, Daryl, I want to talk about here. I'll bring up Boise State. I like them. Boise State is coming off of 2 straight losses to Colorado State and Utah State. They are 7-4, have a great strength of schedule. Fresno is really struggling with the injuries. They are very shorthanded. Gus, I almost got burned with Stan Johnson against Gonzaga. They only had six scholarship players. Thank God Gonzaga pulled away with about 2 minutes left to go in that game. I think this is Boise State big because of the injuries to Fresno. That's my argument, and they need the win after 2 straight losses.
Correct. I love Boise State. I mean, if we look at the rankings in the Mountain West just literally 10 days ago, Boise State's on top. So, yes, I think they correct things and get a win here.
Akron is at Buffalo. The line is about 14 or 15. Akron coming off a tough loss to James Madison. John Gross does a good job. They are 10-1 Akron. They have a half-game lead over Toledo. I don't think they stumble at Buffalo, but it's a lot of points, Gus.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that amount of points with Akron and with Buffalo. Yeah, give me Akron to cover that.
Towson is away at Hampton. Towson 9-4, playing very well. The stumble back-to-back at Hofstra and home to Delaware, which was really odd, but They destroyed Elon. They got the win at William & Mary. Now they're playing Hampton, who they have not played yet this year. It's on the road. The line's about 9. Any feel there?
9 is a big number, but I would say banquet. Some point Hampton has to get one of those wins, and they're going to get one at home. Maybe it's here against Towson. That'd be a stay away for me.
Yeah, that's about it. Okay, that's it. We got to get out of here, folks. I apologize. Roland, Gus, you are the man. Follow him on X at ckearns12. Does great work. There's no one better. The guy's on every podcast imaginable covering it. We have the bracket preview today. I'll start screaming when they don't give Iowa State the number 1-2 seed. Gus, you are the man, brother. Anything else here? Great job.
No, thank you, listeners. They could have been anywhere else in the dial, but they chose to be here with us, Mike and Gus, and I love that.
Guys, as always, let's get to the window. March is around the corner. Frank Brank's models. We have conference tournament futures coming up. I'll have an article on that. Frank has that out, which is always fantastic. Gus and I are going to sneak away to a few games. As always, folks, please get to the window.